Hey guys, I'm Phoenix here and welcome to Revoco. What do I have for you today then? Well, I have lots of fire to show. Been doing quite a lot of work, finally made a breakthrough with it, so the fire now spreads according to specific parameters which I've coded in, and there's going to be more parameters and special ability, not exactly special abilities, but effects that fire can pick up depending on its environment. So let's just dive into Crash. Now Crash is the test map pretty much at the moment. It's where I'm building the systems that I'm going to be implementing into the Crash map, which is the hyper insane level, which a lot of people won't be able to complete. And if lots of people are able to complete it, then I'll have to tweak it to make it harder. Right, so this is fire here. Now at the moment it's just burning. It's a single fire, but it's not able to build up any heat because the oxygen is slightly lower for it to be able to build up heat. The oxygen needs to be 20 for it to propagate, and the oxygen needs to be at less than 3 for it to start to die down. And I've built this monitor, so this is all integrated. So the fire will, when it spawns, it checks to see if it's in an atmosphere, and if that's so, then it will grab the atmosphere statistics and then decide what it needs to do with that. And the console works in exactly the same way. It's looking for the nearest atmosphere so that I can manipulate the atmosphere at will. Now, before I continue, I'll talk about the fire triangle, because not many people, people might not necessarily know what it is. I learnt it through scouts rather than schools, so I don't really know quite why they don't teach it in schools, but there you go. So the fire triangle is the three main things that a fire needs to survive. It needs fuel, it needs oxygen, and it needs heat. If you take any one of those things away, the fire will die down and eventually extinguish. Well, on the most part, there's a few there's some things like smouldering that can happen. Basically, when a room is sealed, and so the fire dies down because there's no oxygen, but it kind of smoulders and it keeps its heat. And if you then introduce oxygen into that room, essentially you get an explosion, because the fire is just so fierce. It just rushes up quite hungrily to consume all the oxygen, and it's a real danger for firefighters. So, but that's not in yet. It will be, and I've also coded in the basis for hot doors. So if you're in a fire situation and you don't know if there's a fire behind a door, what you would do is you'd put the back of your hand against the door, or against the door knob, and to see if it's hot or not. And obviously if it's hot, there's fire behind the door. So I've implemented a sort of system in there. It's not kind of active or anything yet, but it will be. I'm kind of putting quite a lot of stuff into the fire system. So yeah, what I will do quickly. Right, so we've done the fire triangle. When you walk into fire, it does you damage, and you get a little box up to say that you've been damaged by something. There are 5 different types of damage, but currently only fire is in, and none of them have proper icons yet. They just have the box. Right, let's start a fire. Change it to Earth Normal, which is a nice 20 mix. and fire will start to spread, and it will build up, and as it goes on, fires get hotter and hotter, and the fire will propagate. And as you can see there, we've got now got lots of fire, and it does you damage. If, however, I want to stop it, I'll put it to pure CO2, and the fires will die down. Now, currently they work with a heat calculation. Now, the heat calculation is not clamped. That needs to be fixed, because currently the fire could potentially burn on for quite a lot longer than it really should. So, yeah, that's that. Now, oh yeah, the RT cameras. So I've shown you fire. That's pretty much what the fire is going to be like. I'm going to add a few more circumstances in which you can extinguish fire. So you'll be able to take the heat out of the room, and you'll be able to take the fuel out of the room. If fire is in close proximity to a certain type of fuel, it will gain certain, not exactly abilities, but it will, you know, like it might burn hotter, or it might burn with a slightly different flame. So yeah, I haven't quite worked out everything with that yet, so that's still very much, see now it's all gone out. Now what will be coming is that if you were then to walk into that atmosphere, which is now starved of oxygen, you would then start taking damage as well, because, well, you're breathing carbon dioxide, which no human's meant to do. So that's that. So that's fire. Other thing that I've done is RT cameras. So this is a docking port on the bottom. Now what I thought would be quite nice is if you were to kind of aid with the immersion when you're running around a ship, to have these real-time images taken from cameras, and you can be running around the ship, or you can be in certain consoles and be able to flick between different feeds. And what that would do is you can see what's happening in different rooms and what's happening outside the ship as your ship's plummeting to the ground. And also, it's kind of a twofold thing. It helps with the immersion, and it also helps with the mechanics of it. Just another additional mechanic of, has that deployed? Because that's what I want to be at the back of every player's mind is, if I do this, is it going to work? So, for example, you have a mining laser on the bottom of the ship. You will have a mining laser on the bottom of the ship, but it'll be in a deployed position. As you're coming into land, ish, crash, probably more. What you might want to do is lower the mining laser, and then you could demolish any sort of buildings or anything that gets in your way, to reduce the risk of things hitting your ship and you being just torn apart. Now the mining laser will hold a charge in it, so there will be an initial, you'll be able to fire that cannon even if it loses power. But the hydraulic system, if that loses power, it might not actually deploy, so, and you might not necessarily get any feedback from that without actually just looking at it. So the cameras there would show if the mining laser's down, so you would know if you would be able to fire it or not. So obviously if it's jammed up in the ship and you fire it, it's going to do damage to the ship. So that's that really, and I have, you can't really see it properly in this, but I have wired it into the pilot seat as well. It's there. It's a bit faint, I need to work on that, but it's yet to do with the alpha, but it is real time. So you can move the ship up and down, and so it's updating down there. The pitch, yaw and roll is linked to W, A, S and D, and your roll is on Q and E, so you'll be able to turn the ship like that. Right, that's everything there. I am releasing this build. It will be down in the description. This is still pretty much a test build. I haven't touched arcade at all. But if somebody is playing through it and they find something that I might have broken through this stuff, because I may have changed some code, not quite sure, then let me know. But all the new stuff is on Crash. The way you get into that, you go to survival, Crash, and then just hit enter game, whatever it is. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.